Everything you heard about later, which became the torture program, I went through all of that. I know exactly what it means. I was waterboarded a couple times in a training environment. Feels like you're drowning alive. The one that was the worst was the Chinese water drip. They had instructors who started enjoying it, and they would have to pull them out of the program. So I was at Fairchild Air Force Base, and I went through in the field surviving. I mean, this is the SERE program. It's the whole survive, escape, resist. Right? It's a whole program in which you learn how to evade, how to survive, how to resist, and how to escape. That's, well, the initials for SERE. So it had a prisoner of war camp. It had a highly classified component, which is how do you resist when they're psychologically torturing and interrogating you?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
This is still super classified stuff, right?
Still super classified. It's probably, of all the trainings I received in the military, it's the one that has stuck with me the most after all these years.
Really?
And we can get back to that later because there were certain things about that training that actually helped me resist the government, deal with the government.
Oh, wow.
So I was actually using training that the government paid for during my survival school.
Wow.
At SERE in Fairchild Air Force Base, in Eastern Washington. The actual in the field part of survival and evading. And it was we're talking extremely rigorous. It's still a training environment. So, they had safety monitors, there was boundaries, but we were out in the woods for quite a few days.
During this training,
learning how to survive. And then you come back, you go through prisoner of war camp. That was quite something. I actually went through everything you heard about later, which became the torture program, which they called enhanced interrogation techniques.
Yeah.
It was torture because they reverse engineered it. I went through all of that. I know exactly what it means. I was waterboarded a couple times in a training environment. Feels like you're drowning alive. I was put into pretty interesting stress positions. The one that was the worst was the Chinese water drip.
What's the Chinese water drip?
They strap you down and they just slowly drip water onto your forehead.
How long do they do that for?
For a while, until the point where you just want to itch and you can't because you're strapped down, and it just goes. You just really get crazy.
And this is all the type of shit they do like Guantanamo and those black sites, right?
But remember, the constraints were, and they had safety monitors, right? Is in a training environment, but it's extraordinarily realistic.
Right.
The other one, which a lot of people freaked out in, was the box. Something they did later, but that is part of their torture. They stick you in a box and then they close it, meaning it's a specially designed box. And what they do is they bind it down so that there's no room to move. You cannot move and you're all crouched.
Oh yeah, I've seen this. They did this to Abu Zubaydah, I think.
Yeah.
You did the box?
I did the box. Oh, I went to sleep.
God, bro.
I did the box.
Is it really that small?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the box is an interesting design because it's not just a fixed volume. They can actually
shrink it. Oh no.
And you cannot move. They can shrink it down to a point where you cannot move.
That's so crazy.
Threw me in the hole. Yeah.
I heard that they have specifically at Guantanamo, some of the stuff they were doing, some of the 9/11 prisoners they had, was that they would like put them in a room and play like SpongeBob SquarePants for days on end.
Yep.
And or just play like Barney, I love you, you love me for a week straight until
we had a version of that in this prisoner of war camp at very high decibel with the lights blaring. Plus you would have a bag over your head most of the time where you couldn't even see anything.
And what, like, the purpose of putting you guys through this stuff is to kind of numb you to it? Is that what the goal is?
Not numb you, to learn how to resist it.
Learn how to resist
and
it.
not have them break you.
And you're not allowed to talk about how to resist it.
I can talk a bit more about the prisoner of war part, but not the classified training. The classified training. So you have like, what do you deal with when they're pounding on you physically and putting you in all kinds of weird positions, sleep deprivation, bright lights, loud music, and a whole other things I haven't even mentioned yet, a whole range of other, because it goes on for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really, and in fact, they have special instructor. I mean, the instructors themselves had to be carefully trained. And because what happens if you start enjoying the pathological
Enjoying the abuse of people.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can say it right now. They had instructors who started enjoying it, and they would have to pull them out of the program.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
dude.
Stanford, we're talking way worse.
So dark.
Extremely dark. Oh no, even that part of the training sticks to me this day. And speaking of sticking, one song I remember was a napalm song. It was basically a war protest song from the Vietnam era, and they would just play that at super high decibels. Plus, they had all kinds of like psychological. I mean, they would try to break you in terms of you being American, and they would bring up all the literal facts about all the issues that, yeah, there's some dark history in America, and it's going across, the continent and pushing all the indigenous peoples out of the way and slavery. They would actually tell you the truth in training about your own country. And that was one way, because that was indoctrination. They would basically attempt to re-indoctrinate you, but they had to basically separate you from your own culture and your own history, and pointing out, of course, all the worst of its evils. I put evils in quote.
Wow.
Some of which were pretty dark. There's no question that there are aspects of American history that are dark. We're not a perfect nation.
Right.
But we are America.